Introducing Kicking Back with the Cooks, presented by Woodhouse. 18 brands, 16 convenient locations, simplified car buying to save you time. Shop, finance, and buy online at woodhouse.com. Here's head coach John Cook, along with your host, Lauren Cook West.
Welcome back. And we are definitely in volleyball season because I can visibly see how stressed you are, Coach Cook.
Well, I'm not stressed.
So, welcome in. And where are you at with your stress levels? Give me, on a 1 to 10 scale, where are you at? 10 is...
Pre-Kentucky or post-Kentucky?
Post-Kentucky.
Post-Kentucky. I don't know. Maybe a 5.
Okay. And 10 is the most stressed you've ever been in your life.
Yeah, 9.9 before.
Does it get better or does it get worse each year?
I don't know. I was thinking about that the other day. I don't know. I don't know. You know, you just get to the point where you say, yeah, I don't care. But I can't do that. I care a lot, and
you care too much.
Love this team, and these guys work really hard, and it's fun, and so. But anyway, it's part of coaching. Coaching's hard. It's draining. You got to put a lot of work in. It's emotional. You're giving everything you got every day. And you know, I tell our leaders, you know, you're going to be exhausted at the end of every day if you're doing a good job leading, because you're giving to all these people and you're trying to lead, and then you're trying to take care of yourself too. So it's a tough job.
And be a grandpa.
Yeah.
I just have to say, to all the other moms out there who are working mothers, it's hard. I just had to put her down for bed, do everything fast forwarded because I was trying to get a diaper on, overnight diaper, and get her milk and get her teeth brushed and get her in bed and then get set up to do this podcast. So I feel for working mothers, and I see you, I hear you, I appreciate you, and give yourself a pat on the back if you're listening to this and you're a mother or father who works and then has to take care of your child.
Yeah, and Lauren, Lindsay's like laughing at you. She has 4 boys she has to take care of and deal with a volleyball team. So,
okay, really quick, back to your stress level. Does winning help it or make it worse? And I think that sounds like an obvious, like there might be an obvious answer to that question, but I feel like sometimes the more you win, the more there's a target on your back, and maybe that causes more stress.
Yeah, I think it's less stressful to be the underdog, and nobody's expecting you to do very well, and you're not favored, and then when you're expected to win, I think that puts a lot of pressure and stress, because then it's, you know, is it ever good enough? If you win, you're supposed to, and it's a relief, and if you don't win, you know, then you know you're no good. So I think it's less stressful to be somewhat of a little bit of an underdog.
In less stressful news, the Red Kingdom debuted the song between sets 2 and 3 a couple of weeks ago, and we haven't chatted on our podcast since the debut. So how did it go? Was it everything you expected and more? Because you were literally talking about it all spring and all summer long.
It's awesome. Players love it, but here's the total validation of it. We played Pepperdine, who, by the way, has had several big wins since they left here. They went to Washington and won the tournament there, beat Washington. They had a big win at home. So anyway, when I saw their players singing the Red Kingdom, and one of them was Nicklin's sister, that was validation for me. And I asked Nicklin afterward, I said, did you see they were singing the Red Kingdom? And she goes, yeah, they love it. They were playing it to psych up on the van ride over to play the match. So there's my validation right there. Tech 9 and all that was worth it just to hear that and see that.
Here's my big question. Did you even get to witness it, or were you in the bathroom? Because usually you have to pee between sets 2 and 3. Yep. And you've said before on an episode or early on episode that you have to go into a certain stall because you have superstitions or you're superstitious.
Well,
and so were you even out there for it?
Yeah, I got there in time, like the last minute, because we make sure, you know, we have a new rule now, and this is for the NCAA tournament. They don't start the clock till your team's off the floor, so that gives us extra time. So we can take care of business, get some water, the players can get some snacks, change uniforms, and get back out. And here's what's interesting, Lauren. So we're playing at Kentucky, and they tell us, like, hey, you only get 3 minutes. I go, what do you mean? It's 5 minutes. Not in the SEC. They only have 3 minutes. So I didn't get the chance to ask Coach Skinner, you know, how do you hold it in all that time?
Why? I thought it was 5 minutes across the board, no matter what conference you're in.
Not in the SEC.
So does the conference vote on that then and make the ultimate decision?
I guess so. The NCAA says this is what we're doing for the NCAA tournament. So the
Which
Big
is
Ten,
5 minutes.
Yeah, in the Big Ten, we voted on going 10 minutes. Many schools want to do 10 minutes between games 2 and 3 for promotions, let people go to the restroom, buy concessions, and have more time there, so they can, you know, we can use that. But the NCAA goes 5 minutes. Everybody wants to do what you're going to do in the NCAA tournament. So, so there's different thoughts, and then of course, the SEC decided and voted they were going to go with only 3 minutes. So I didn't know that, and I found it interesting. Of course, I'm on the rules committee, and I didn't even know it.
The rules committee for all of
Yes,
all of volleyball?
I'm on the NCAA rules committee.
How did you get on that?
Yeah, that would be like El Chapo working for the DEA.
I think he secretly is. Have you seen Ozarks?
Oh yeah.
Well, it's not El Chapo, but the cartel, the Navarro cartel, they set it up and say that, and eventually make a deal that he ends up working with the FBI.
Yeah. So
there's a lot we don't know.
Yep.
How did you get on the rules committee? Did you apply for that position? Did they select you?
I love this question, Lauren. So I've been coaching college volleyball, let's see, for 31 or 32 years as an assistant and as a head coach. I've never, ever asked to be, I've never been invited or asked to be on a committee, ever. Now you would think, you know, here's somebody that's, you know, got attendance, sellout streaks, you know, it's the epicenter of volleyball, selling out Final Fours in Omaha, that you'd want somebody on some committees to help in volleyball. But I've never been asked. That's because, you know, I think I've been blackballed. So what happened was, for the rules committee, the Big Ten sent out a thing to the SWAs. At the time was Pat Logston saying, hey, do you want to nominate anybody for this committee or that committee? And one of them was the rules committee. So Pat nominated me, and I was the only one, I think, from the Big Ten, and they wanted somebody on the Big Ten on the rules committee, so I got on it. I bet you can't name anybody else on the rules committee.
Craig Skinner?
No.
Is he on it?
You wouldn't know any of these coaches on the rules committee.
Where are they from?
All over. But I'm the only one from a big conference.
Very interesting.
Yeah, so think about that. There's junior college represented, NAIA, Division II, Division III. There's some administrators on there. So just think about how rules are made for the general masses, you know, the 900 colleges, as opposed to what would be best for the top, you know, 100 Division I programs. And so everybody's got a different opinion, and that's why it's, you know, not much changes. And, you know, we were all excited this year because we got the jewelry thing figured out. So, but having said that, Maddie Kubik's wearing whatever the thing in her ear, and of course we go 7 matches, no problem. We go to Kentucky, guess what? It's illegal. So we got to stop the match at the beginning, and she's got to pull this thing out. And so again, what, you know, some refs see it one way and some refs sees it another way. So it's, I'll be bringing that up in our next rules committee meeting.
Here's my 2 cents. Professional, when you get to the professional level, the rules are very different from the collegiate level. And why not just make it all the same? Keep the rules the same. That way, players, it's an easier transition to go from collegiate to professional ball. You can wear jewelry when you play pro, I think substitutions are less. You play
Yep.
with a different volleyball. I mean, it's almost like you're playing a whole different game.
Yeah. I tried to get it past where we have one volleyball for college, which is the same as what the men use. It's a molten ball it's a great ball. It lasts forever. It doesn't go flat. We actually train with them in the gym. The players love them. But we could get one ball instead of, you go to this place, you play with that ball. You go to that place, you play with that ball, And then some of the balls are just like rocks. So the game would be even more exciting if we went to that ball. I tried to get us down to 8 subs. I got basically thrown out of the room for that. Of course, we got the jewelry thing squared away. So, but it's
you kind of did.
It's an interesting deal, and this is one of the problems with college athletics is you've got 900 colleges, all different levels, and you're trying to make rules for everybody, and all the rules don't work for everybody, and what's best. And so I think they need to figure that out. But we're the only country in the world, and volleyball is, I think, believe now the number 1 or 2 most popular sport in the world that plays different rules than the rest of the world.
How are the horses? And with volleyball season in full swing, I feel like the nays, as Madden would call them,
The
are
nays?
somewhat the nays.
Well,
she calls them nays.
Yeah. Hey, Lauren,
Yeah.
that's a great question. Let's take a look here. Oh, here's Bud and Reba.
Hold on. Tell us what you set up in their, what is it called, a barn, a stall?
This is their shelter. Horse.
Can we get a close-up, zoom in?
Well, let's see. I don't know. I mean, I'm not on the controls back
Put it closer
there.
to the camera.
Where's the camera? Oh, up there.
Right in front of you.
Yeah. Okay. It's not that
Oh,
close,
yeah.
Lauren. So that's their stall. And Bud and Reba, right now they're pacing because they're waiting to get to go out in the pasture and eat grass. So
No, they were out. I was
they were
over
out.
there for dinner.
Oh, they're back
We
in.
had-
Okay.
Madden had dinner with her Mimi, and
Okay.
they were out in the pasture grazing.
Yeah.
So maybe they're waiting for their grain.
They're waiting for their grain, yeah. And they get
Okay.
a little edgy when they don't get their grain. So, so anyway, I think they're doing good. I check on them in the night, see how they're doing, and they're so cute because, what's if we're going to talk horses, I got a lot to talk about. But what's so cute is when one of them lays down, the other one kind of stands over them and protects, and then they'll switch off. It's pretty interesting because this Ring camera, I can check on them whenever. So it's pretty cool just to keep following what they're doing. But I heard a great quote the other day. This is I got to share this with my team. I meant to do it today and forgot, but a horse can feel a fly like on its rear end, and that just shows you how sensitive they are, and they also can feel your energy and the vibe you're bringing when you're around them. They know you better than you know yourself, and so I want our coaches and our players to understand that about each other and the vibes that they give off. Since we're talking coaching here, Lauren, I'm going to be on a roll on this tonight. So today, Brian Magatang, our video guy, he has a little baby who was at practice today because I think his babysitter was sick or whatever. Anyway, so after practice, the girls are curling down, and his baby's standing up. But you know how when you first stand up, and he's kind of like letting her go, like you're on your own. Of course, she falls down, and so I go to the team. I go, okay, is she pouting? Is she getting mad? Is she getting frustrated? Or is she just going to get back up and try to stand up again? And I said, she doesn't care. She's just trying to get up and stand up. And I said, how many times does that get in our way where we get frustrated or, it's, start having bad body language because it's not working? And so babies and horses you can learn a lot from. That's my confession today and my wisdom.
Your lesson.
Yeah, my lesson for the day. Thank you.
What was the confession part of that?
Well, I just tie it all together, so I don't have to do one.
The confession was showing us the Ring camera, the horses on the Ring camera.
Yeah. No, I actually have a confession today. So did you see the shoes I wore for the Kentucky match?
I did not.
Okay.
I only paid attention to the untucked shirt.
Okay. Adidas gave us these really cool shoes, and they look really cool. They're like remind me of 20 years ago. Everything comes around, every 20 years. Anyway, they killed my feet, so I gave them to the boys. So that's my confession. I got these really cool shoes. They're kind of like a Yeezy, but made for Nebraska. But they just they weren't comfortable for me, and so I wore them for that match, and then gave them to the boys. Said, you guys can have them. There's my confession. So I hope Al Rucker's not mad at me. Were
they Ultra Boosts?
They're like Ultra Boosts, yeah, but I need a flatter shoe, and these things are kind of built up in the heels, so it wasn't good for my feet.
I want to go back to the horses. How often do you check the ring camera?
Probably 5-6 times in 24 hours.
That's such a lie. Give us the truth.
But I can also check on Taylor, what time he's getting home and when he leaves and who's at the house.
You check your ring camera, I check my baby monitor.
Yeah, I love it when you send pictures of Madden sleeping.
I don't know if you can see her. She started using a pillow.
Oh.
So she's passed out on her pillow.
Oh, you have to send that to me. It's hard to see.
I will. Are you still going out to rope every Sunday, or are you now focused on just watching video from the weekend's matches?
Well, haven't gone last few Sundays because one we played, two we got rained out one time, and then rodeo season started. So my boys are going to the rodeos on the weekends, and so anyway, and one of the guys is our Marshall Peterson, our UNL rodeo coach. So they every other weekend right now they're on a rodeo. So I think that's a long weekend for those guys. And so anyway, but we'll get back into it. And it's hard to get out there into Ashland to rope, but I do have the roping dummy that it has Husker Volleyball branded into it down to Vanny, and every night it gets a little workout.
You met someone through the horse and roping community, and I'll let you can say as much about them as you want, but tell us the story. They came out and visited you in the mountains, and then I think you know who I'm talking about. And then they, as a thank you gift, they got this really cool picture made for you that's now in your office of your dog Caden.
Yeah, this is.
Can you tell this story?
Yeah. So met some people through the horse world. They helped me get connected with Reba, and actually I met them through Kelly Hunter. And so anyway. Got to know them, and they're involved in the horse world, and they're from Scotts Bluff. And of course, right when I met them, I went out to Scotts Bluff and did a leadership seminar at the Western Junior Nebraska College, and their place was right next door. And I drove by it, and anyway, we just got to know each other, and so they came up and visited us. I invited them to Wyoming. They came up and visited, and they took a picture of Caden, our Irish Wolfhound, and then next thing I know, I get this picture done by an artist, from that picture, she painted this portrait of his face and his head and everything. It's stunning. It's awesome. And I asked them, like, so down in Kansas City, there's an artist that does that. You just give them a picture, and they've done all their horses and their dogs. They have pictures done. So it was very, very meaningful. It meant a lot, and it's beautiful. And then, so actually Lauren, you'll get a kick out of this. So they came to the Long Beach match and I gave them tickets in the box up there, the suite in my office. So you've been up there before. So as a gift to thank me, they sent this a food thing with soup and cookies and everything. And anyway, it went to the place where we live, and of course Kelly lives in there too. Somehow Kelly got it, and then she calls me and she says, "Hey, you should see all this stuff that this family sent to, just because they got to go to the match, and we're just thanking." And anyway, I get a text today like, "Hey, how'd you enjoy it?" And I go, "What are you talking about?" And they said everything. I said, "Oh yeah, Kelly he loved it." But it was supposed to come to me, and she ended up getting it. So she doesn't know that. She doesn't know that yet. So that'll be a confession tonight later.
You better let her know.
I know.
Did she finish everything?
Yeah, she was telling me how great it was. She showed me the box and everything. It's some company, like, you know, you order and they send the soup and these cookies and bread. You cook the bread, heat up the bread, and it like comes to your door, like I think ready to go, and it looked
Didn't
really.
it say to John Cook?
I'm not quite sure how she ended up with it, so we're going to get to the bottom of that. It may have gone. I don't know. We'll have to find out how she ended up getting it.
Well, this family listens to the podcast, so
Okay.
we appreciate you guys, and we'll get to the bottom of this. And
Yeah.
the painting of Caden, it's like, how would you describe it? Black and white and almost watercolor,
Yeah, it's
or not watercolor. You'll have to post a picture of it on
okay.
Twitter.
I'll tweet it out. Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe figure out who the artist is, and you can tag the artist and hype them
Oh,
up.
Okay. All right. Cool.
you go.
We'll do that.
I have a story for you about creativity, and you saw it right before the Creighton match. The week before, I sent a tweet out, and I said, I don't know if you saw this tweet, I'm hoping you didn't, but I said, I need help customizing a shirt or sweatshirt that's, says Nebraska Volleyball and some things on the back. So I had a few people reach out to me, a handful of people, and I ended up going with this woman, a mother running her own business. And what I wanted was a shirt and a sweatshirt, so something to wear when it's hot out, something to wear when it's cool out to games. And it says Nebraska Volleyball on the front, and then on the back it says Papa, and then the number 0, because no one's number 0 on the Nebraska team. So Madden now rocks that for every Husker Volleyball game day. And I debuted it to you against Creighton, and I was standing out in the hallway talking to Lindsay, and she's like, oh, thank God you're here. She goes, he's really stressed. Please go back there and take Madden back there. And so I took Madden back, and she gave you a big hug and said hi to you before the match. So hopefully that calmed you down. But I just think it's so cool how many small businesses there are out there that we just don't know about, that put together amazing items and are so creative. And she gave me a bunch of different designs to choose from, and it was just her turnaround time. She got it done in a week. She actually got it done earlier than expected. So just appreciate artists and their work and people in the creative world.
Yeah, and Lauren, I just got a book about your guy that you did the wedding from, Grant, up in Jackson Hole, a lady in Nebraska who's very involved in the horse world and rodeo, and she just sent me this book, and she said, I read this book and I think it would be great for you to read it. And Grant Gallagher, is that his name?
Grant Gallagher.
Gallagher, yeah. He's a horse.
From Diamond Cross Ranch.
Yeah, Diamond Cross Ranch, which you actually helped do some weddings up there this summer. It's gorgeous. He's a horse whisperer, but what he also does, what's fascinating is CEOs, top people, business people in the world come and learn about how to be better leaders through horses through him. I mean, this guy's like world famous. And did you meet him when you did the wedding, or he was around?
I did.
He was hanging out, yeah. I mean, so she said,
He lives out of a trailer.
Yeah, she said, I hope you can go up there and ride with him or watch him train. And I said, listen, that's my goal next summer. I want to go meet him and hang out with him. And the book's a great book, but again, that's one of the great things about coaching and living in Nebraska is your story about the T-shirt, the story about the book, the story about the painting. I mean, people here care, and it's very, very special.
What is the book called for any listeners who maybe want to check it out?
Okay, help me out.
Is it Think Like a Horse?
Think Like a Horse, yeah. Think Like a Horse.
Okay. Think Like a Horse, Grant Gallagher, Diamond Cross Ranch,
Yep.
Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Yeah. And again, he's just not a horse guy. I mean, they list all the people that have come in there. I mean, you're talking like CEO of the IBM, Microsoft. I mean,
Google.
and he does retreats with their top executives. So, and he's just a cowboy. And like you said, he lives in a trailer, but he has a gorgeous ranch.
It's beautiful. Everyone wants to get married there. I think they have weddings there almost every day of the week.
Yeah. So I told some of the some of my cowboy friends who are, a couple of them are engaged, and I sent them the picture of, when you say your vows, and then they have a herd of horses run by on that video. And I said,
As you're kissing.
This is where you need to get married. So that's pretty
Yeah.
cool how they do that.
When the first kiss happens,
Yeah.
they let the horses go, and then you have the backdrop of the Tetons, and
Yeah.
the horses are running, and it's just, you can't put it into words.
Yeah.
Stunning. Well, I do appreciate all of this horse talk and creative talk, but I do want to ask you a couple volleyball questions.
Let's go.
How do you decide to run a 6-2 or a 5-1? Just give us, I know you've talked a little bit about it, but just give us a brief why you decided to go to a 6-2 as opposed to a 5-1, or why you run a 5-1 over a 6-2.
So to run a 6-2, you have to have 4 outside hitters and 2 setters. So you can't even look at that unless you have that. We have that on our depth chart, and with Allie going out, we move Maggie to right side. So we essentially are playing with 3 middles, which works. So she, and she's a big block. So bottom line, you can't. If you want to run a 6-2, you can do that. The great thing about a 6-2 is you always have 3 hitters. It's hard to defend. The tough thing is you got to have passing, and your passing formations can get a little more complicated, and you got to have 2 setters that are pretty consistent. So Nicklin and Ani were very similar, very consistent setters. They set the same ball. They're about the same size. Well, then Nicklin goes out. We put in Kennedy. Kennedy and Ani are a little bit different, so it hasn't been quite as smooth, but we're getting smoother, and we actually put up really good numbers against Kentucky. To run a 5-1, you've got to have 1 setter that can run the show. It allows you more subs. You can get people in, you can get specialists in, you can get defensive specialists in. The disadvantage of a 5-1 is 3 rotations, you only have 2 hitters in the front row. So do you have a good enough hitter coming out of the back row? We also have that option. Whitney's a great back row hitter. Maddie's a great back row hitter. I think Lindsay Krause could be a phenomenal back row hitter at some point. So it's easier to get better passers in and sub passers in. You can get a serve sub in, but you have to have a setter that can run the show and can make all those hitters good, and it becomes a little more simple and a little more consistent because you're running certain sets to certain players over and over and over, and they just kind of know more what to expect. In a 6-2, it's a little more random and not quite as consistent, and you got to train a lot of different things. So those are some of the advantages, disadvantages of running both.
Since you've been running a 6-2, what is your biggest weakness or negative in the 6-2? And I know you mentioned passing, you mentioned the inconsistency sometimes of having 2 different setters in there, but what's throughout preseason and the times that you have ran a 6-2, which has been the majority of the preseason, what has been your biggest weakness running that system?
The biggest weakness is just you got players coming in and out and some chaos plays, and the other weakness is against Creighton, Ani and Nicklin had 34 digs between them. Okay, so that means they're not setting. If they're digging the ball, they're not setting. So Lexi Rodriguez has to be a great setter, and we're actually have put up great numbers against Creighton with her setting. Stanford, we hit negative, and then we hit 600 against Kentucky with her setting. So you essentially can take out the setter almost every play. And so that is where the weakness is. And then the other weakness is if we have some servers struggling, there's not much we can do. We can't sub them out. We don't have the subs.
In your opinion, right now, what lineup has been your strongest lineup?
I don't know. We played so many different lineups,
right.
And we really haven't given the 5-1 a chance. But I don't know. Kennedy hasn't shown us that she's ready to run a 5-1 yet. So and Nicklin, has been banged up. So that was our plan going in, and we had to adjust.
So I'll ask you again. In your opinion, give me your strongest lineup.
It depends on the day and who's playing well, but
let me ask you this. Statistically, maybe what's your strongest lineup?
That's another tough question because I know this, Lauren, right now in the 6-2, we are ahead of where we were statistically last year in every area. Blocking, attack efficiency by our opponents. Our hitting efficiency is 100 points higher than it was last year. Our transitions attack is up. I think I mentioned blocking is up. The biggest area that we're down is serving. And that's because Nicklin hasn't been serving every match. We've had some higher, younger players serving, and we got a middle serving. So there's not much you can do if they're having an off night in running the 6-2. So statistically, the 6-2 has done a lot of really good things, and but it kind of hamstrings you a little bit in making subs and adjustments.
How about set attempts to the middles? Are you up in that department?
I haven't checked that, but
please look into it for me and get back to me.
Yeah. Well, but you got to remember, in a 3 rotations, you only have 2 hitters, so you're going to set that middle more, and remember that middle's going behind off one leg, on the slide attack. So there's more opportunities to set them, and you kind of have to force it to them a little bit. But we'd like to set more middle, but here's
you need to set more middle.
Here's the other thing: Maddie Kubik's not getting 50 swings every match.
True.
Which was happening last year. So Maddie Kubik's doesn't even get the most swings some nights on our team, and we're running. When you've got half our kills coming from behind the setter right now in the 6-2. I mean, that's hard to defend.
Last question. Let's fast forward to end of Big Ten conference play. What system do you think you'll end up in?
I don't know. It's going to depend on players and development and who steps up.
If you had to take a guess.
I don't guess. If I wanted to guess, I would be betting on games in Vegas.
I'm putting you in the hot seat tonight.
Yeah.
Well, since you already gave your confession lesson, I'll give mine.
Okay.
I rented real bunnies for Madden's second birthday party,
Lord.
which I've already started planning, and it isn't for another 2 months.
Yeah.
And they're little therapy bunnies, and you can rent them, and she'll bring them to a birthday party. She usually takes them into a nursing home, and they're going to be there for Madden's birthday.
I think you should invite Caden to there and let Caden play with those bunnies.
The bunnies
That'd be
wouldn't
fun.
make it out of the house.
I'd love to see Madden's look on that as we chase the bunnies.
I have to tell you a quick story. So tonight we were over there for dinner, and Madden had her little Ziploc bag of cut up carrots and apples for the horses. And she was getting ready we were putting on her shoes, she was getting ready to go outside with Mimi, her grandma, and all of a sudden, Caden was standing by her and puts his nose into the bag and takes an apple out. And Madden lost it. She was sobbing. She was so upset. I think she was upset. She was mad. And she kept saying, "Apple, nays, no, Bubba, no." And Bubba is Caden, your Irish Wolfhound. And so she kept saying, "No, Bubba," and just tears. She was so upset, tears streaming down her face. And Caden took one of the apples for the nays. So it was the end of the world right there. Anyways, my lesson: you can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are now and change the ending.
Oh, that's a good one, Lauren.
I know.
I think some of our players have used that.
Okay. See? Also, here's another story. Madden and I are FaceTiming you this morning, and Madden was in the bath because she had oatmeal for breakfast, and so the oatmeal was all over her high chair. I think she played with it more than she ate it. Anyways, I put her in the bath. It's 9 a.m., and I'm FaceTiming you, and all of a sudden, I dropped the phone into the bathtub. So I went into panic mode, trying to figure out how to dry off my phone. I was drying it with a towel, Jason, my husband, was saying I needed to put it in rice, but I ended up just getting a blow dryer out and these little openings down here. I just put the blow dryer on those openings and dried it out, and now it works.
Wow. You should do a TikTok about it.
I'm not on TikTok, but okay. I'm happy to share this advice on our podcast episode.
I'm glad it's working again.
I am too. Well,
you're still on my phone plan, so I have to buy another phone.
My baby monitor is on here. I have, works on my phone. Everything's on my phone, so it's not like I can live without I probably could live without a phone, but some changes would have to be made before I could make that happen. But a lot's on your phone nowadays.
I know.
Your life's on your phone. Well, anyways, Coach Cook, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck going into the Big Ten season. I hope you do some yoga or meditation or whatever app you use on your phone. I hope you use that a little more frequently so your stress levels go down. And I can't wait to talk to you next month. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Lauren. And, Lauren, I wanted to do a shout out because was it 2 weeks ago we met with Woodhouse, who I think helps sponsors a lot of Nebraska volleyball stuff. And
they sponsor our podcast.
Yeah, we got to meet their basically their leadership team and running Woodhouse Auto, and I thought that was a really cool night for them and for us. We talked about leadership, and anyway, just appreciate Woodhouse and the event that they did up in the skyboxes in Devaney, and they had a great meal up there. And anyway, it's pretty cool. Again, it's what makes volleyball special, that they're interested in what we're doing and how it could help them, and met some really cool people, so it was fun.
And they're going to help me find a new car.
Yeah.
I've been looking for a Tahoe, so they're helping me with that. But it was amazing to meet some of the people that hold Woodhouse together and make Woodhouse run, and we do really appreciate them and all they do for the university, and especially for sponsoring our podcast, because we wouldn't be able to do this without Woodhouse.
Yep. So.
Well, we'll end it on that. So
okay.
We'll talk to you next month. As always, go Big Red, and thank you all for listening and watching.